Hello and welcome to the podcast all about becoming a health coach. I'm Megan McCrory, a certified international nutrition health coach. Each week I recap what I'm learning and how I'm applying those lessons to my health coaching practice. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm happy that you found the podcast and a very special welcome to you. You may want to go back and listen from the beginning to hear more about my health coaching journey. If you are a longtime listener to the podcast, you will have noticed that my introduction has changed slightly. By the time of this recording in April 2019, I have successfully completed the health coach training program from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I'm very happy with my dedication to completing the program. I sacrificed many weekends and evenings last year to make sure I put all my energy into learning as much as I could. Last year, I also completed the Advanced Gut Health course from IIN, and I can highly recommend that. Earlier this month, I sat for the International Association of Health Coaches certification exam, and I passed. So now my official title, as mentioned in my intro, is Certified International Nutrition Health Coach, which is a little bit of a mouthful. My initial intention with this podcast was to chronicle each week of the health coach training program, which I did really well for the first 3 or 4 months. Then life happened, and the podcast episodes became more sporadic. This episode will cover Module 18, and that leaves another 22 episodes to cover the rest of the content of the course. But I'm not actually taking the course anymore, so what do? I've been struggling with this question the past couple months, and I've decided to reformat the show slightly because I really love putting out this podcast. Starting with this episode, I will cover the highlights of each module, but then go more in depth with how I'm actually building my business. And I hope this will accomplish 2 things. 1, keeping to my original commitment to help you understand what is involved in becoming a health coach, while serving as a refresher for me of the lessons I learned last year. Meanwhile, I can keep you up to date on what I'm doing on a daily basis to become a health coach. To help be more interactive with you, I've decided to create a Facebook page for the podcast where I'll be posting, but more important, this is a space for you to connect with me more easily. Just search in Facebook for Becoming a Health Coach, or you can click on the link in the show notes. So with all of that, let's go ahead and dive right into episode 21. This week in Module 18, we learn the importance of listening to your own body and advocating for your own health. We also learn the history of grains and their roles in diet. I know they get a bad rap, right? We also learned how to classify gluten-related disorders. We took the DISC behavior style evaluation to better relate to our clients. And we finally learned how to coach potential clients through perceived limitations when they sign up for a 6-month program, or any program for that matter. Module 18 started off with the impassioned lecture from actress Jennifer Esposito. You might recognize her from the show NCIS. This is where I recognized her from. Although she is an actress, I don't think there was any kind of acting in this lecture she gave on how to become your own health advocate. Her story is really heartbreaking, actually, and unfortunately all too common. Jennifer struggled with celiac disease for almost 15 years before it was finally diagnosed correctly. Some doctors thought she was just depressed. Others had no idea what was causing her symptoms. Many of the health coaches I've studied with have similar stories, an issue that no Western-trained doctor could diagnose, so they turned to Eastern medicine or functional medicine to find answers. This in turn leads them to the path of becoming a health coach because they want to help other people find their health answers. So I wonder how many of you are listening that have had this experience or know someone who has struggled with finding answers to their medical ailments. Go ahead and comment in the show notes or over on the Facebook page and let me know if this is the reason why you want to become a health coach. I recently watched a BuzzFeed video where several women recount their experiences of begging doctors to help them, only to be told that nothing was wrong with them and it was probably all in their head. This video is called My Doctor Didn't Believe My Pain. Strongly recommend as a health coach or as someone who wants to be a health coach that you go and check out that video. There's a link to the video in the show notes. So it seems that this type of thing happens more to women. I don't want to go too far down this huge rabbit hole, but it is true to state that not a lot of studies have been done on women of childbearing age. Therefore, we still have so many unknowns about what causes many of the issues with women and specifically with their reproductive organs. This section of the module was fairly short compared to the other topics of food allergies and gluten-free living, but I believe this section actually deserves more attention. Oftentimes, people have a symptom, maybe something that came on slowly over time, maybe all of a sudden, but they don't want to go see a doctor. Why? So in my experience, I believe that doctors wouldn't find anything wrong with me, and I'd walk away feeling like a hypochondriac, or like it really was all in my head. So we wait, and we wait to see if it will just go away. We wait to see if it gets better, but we wait. And often, then, with all this waiting, so long, we grow used to the symptoms and we just live with it. Or by the time we see the doctor, it's way more serious than if we had gone earlier. Now, with the internet and Dr. Google, we sit in the comfort of our own home and try to diagnose ourselves. Like that ever really works. The simple fact is, if you don't feel good, something is wrong with you. What that is will still need to be figured out. However, you are the keeper of your body. So you need to be the one advocate for its well-being. If your car started losing gas mileage or puffing smoke out of the tailpipe, you would take it to the mechanic. The same is true for your body. And just like a car, what can be wrong with your body can be as simple as eating better food or as complex as cancer, but you won't know until you talk to a doctor. If you haven't had the best luck with Western-taught doctors, search out a functional medicine practitioner. These are healthcare professionals that have taken additional training in functional medicine. More and more people are finding success with functional medicine practitioners, and there is a link in the show notes that goes into more detail about functional medicine. The take-home point is to listen to your body and take action when something is wrong. If you are turned away or not being helped, don't give up. Keep searching for answers, because nobody is going to do it except for you. You are your own best health advocate. Do you have a story about listening to your health advocate? Tell me about it at the Facebook page or becomingahealthcoach@gmail.com or comment in the show notes. If you have been listening to my podcast for a while and it's been part of helping you make the decision of becoming a health coach, please let me know. If you decide to sign up for health coaching at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, please let the admissions officers know that I'm your IIN ambassador. As an ambassador, I do get a referral bonus, which helps me keep making this podcast and doesn't cost you anything. You can reach out to me directly and I'll send you a special phone number to call to help you enroll. If you decide to choose a different school besides IIN, that's also awesome, and I'd still love to know if I've been the one helping you make that decision. Oh, the G word, gluten. Let's dive headfirst into the topic that's been on everyone's lips for the past 10 years. In the show notes, you'll see a graph of the rise of relevance of the word gluten in Google searches. It peaked in 2013, but has been hovering near the top ever since. In Module 18, we had 2 speakers present information on grains and gluten. Dr. William Davis, author of the book Wheat Belly, and Rachel Begun, registered dietitian and food and nutrition consultant. William Davis's lecture was enormous. There was so much information to absorb. He broke his lecture into 3 parts. Part 1 called Are You Part Cow?, where he talks about eating according to species and asks a very good question is, why doesn't our mouth water when we look at a field of grass? Like it might water if we look at, fruit or meat. Part 2, called The Green Revolution, in which he describes all the mutations that grains have undergone since the 1950s that correlate to the 400% increase in celiac disease since then. And Part 3, called What is in the Seed of Grasses, aka grains, where he introduced the word gliadin, which is the component in gluten that actually causes all the fuss. Then he proceeded to talk about lectin protein, amylopectin A, and allergens. If you're interested in learning more about Dr. Davis, check out his website called wheatbellyblog.com, and I have a link to that and a link to Dr. Davis's YouTube channel in the show notes. At the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, they pride themselves on not being tied to any one doctrine, belief, or diet. They basically have a level playing field for all the proponents and opponents for specific diets to have equal airtime to voice their rationales. It's clear in Module 18 that they are allowing the anti-gluten camp the right to provide the evidence for their case to the students. And back in Module 10, you'll remember Andrea Beeman gave a lecture called The Goodness of Grains. And this is one of the things I really like about the school. They really recognize that no one diet is going to fit all, and what works for one person may not work for someone else. Next, Rachel Begun talked to us about gluten-free living. The first thing that stuck out to me in her talk was the way she described gluten-related disorders, and I have since used this explanation several times when talking to people about gluten. There are 3 branches of gluten-related disorders: autoimmune, allergic, and gluten sensitivity. The most well-known and documented is the autoimmune gluten-related disorder called celiac disease. Like all autoimmune diseases, in this case, the body is attacking itself when you introduce grain or gluten into the body. Someone could otherwise have a gluten allergy, and this is completely different from celiac because the body attacks the gluten directly, not the body itself. The third type of gluten-related disorder is a general term called gluten insensitivity. This encompasses all the remaining class of symptoms that are not diagnosed as either celiac or allergy. There is no definitive diagnosis for being gluten insensitive. Rather, you would be tested for celiac and allergy, and if they both come back negative, you would be by default diagnosed as gluten insensitive. There is so much more to say on how the body can build up insensitivities to your favorite foods, of which I can hope to cover in a future episode. And until then, if you're interested in learning more about how gluten reacts in the gut, I recommend that you read the research from Dr. Alessio Fasano. There's a link to his research in the show notes. He is without question the one scientist that has done the most research on this topic. So back to Rachel. She states that 30% of the U.S. population are eating gluten-free, and most are doing it without any kind of medical reason. And there is a bit of a fad with gluten-free right now. It's even made it over here to Europe, where I'm at. There's a lot of gluten-free options, but it is also a real trend because celiac disease is on the rise. Rachel goes through a list of all the types of foods that you can eat that are naturally gluten-free, and you can find this list plus more on how to live a gluten-free life as a free printable in my show notes. The last part of Module 18 is how to address potential clients. First, we took the DISC evaluation, which helps you identify if you tend towards dominance, influence, compliance, or steadiness. I fall squarely in the influence area, leaning towards dominance. By knowing the style, or your style, you can help relate to other people in their different styles. The speaker for this talk was Eric Barron, and his message was that you can't be afraid to be a salesperson, and he had a really handy little slogan that came in mind. So it says, feed the motivation and manage the fear. And he's talking about this actually when it comes to talking to potential clients, because you want to feed their motivation for doing whatever they want to do, and you want to manage the fear that comes with hiring a health coach. When it comes to talking to potential clients, one of the most important things is to be confident in what you have to offer and how this will help the client. Not everyone we talk to will become our client. Module 18 also dove into how we can address hesitations. The magic of addressing hesitation comes in believing in yourself as a coach and letting go of your own insecurities. Think about the last time you talked to someone who was super passionate about their job versus someone who's not very confident. Which one do you respond to better? So what is behind typical hesitations? Lack of resources, whether it's time or money or both, fear of change, fear of failure, and even fear of success can be a hesitation, which sounds kind of silly, but it can happen. Module 18 goes through all these scenarios and helps you ask the right questions to make sure that the client's hesitations are addressed in the way that ultimately helps the client, regardless of whether they sign up with you or not. So look at hesitations as opportunities to show clients how they focus on their goals and priorities. So this is the part of the episode that I'm just going to talk about what I'm doing on a daily basis. Bear in mind, if this is your first episode, I do have a full-time job. Health coaching is not my full-time job. So health coaching for me is completely on the side. At the beginning of the year, in January, after I graduated from the health coach training program, I kind of felt a very big sense of relief that I was done with the program. And then I also felt like this overwhelming, like, okay, what do I do now? Do I build a program? How do I work? And at that point, I had 2 clients. Right now I have only 1 client and I see her every 2 weeks. So I am still coaching with this 1 client, but I thought, okay, what can I do? And my brain was going bonkers. There were so many things. It was so easy in 2018 when I was doing the health coaching program to be like, it's all about the coaching. That was my goal for the year, was the course. Just that was my sole focus with the course. Now that I don't have a sole focus anymore, it's very difficult for me to focus on what I want to do. And I see this in the health coaching Facebook groups. A lot of people don't know where to start, don't know what to do, and are looking for help on where to start. So I did a couple things. I think I mentioned it before in an earlier podcast that I have purchased a done-for-you 5-day detox. It's like a seasonal detox called Detox Done. I've mentioned that before. I hadn't really used that very much. I also went to the health coach group, I also purchased a program through them called Smart Sexy Slim 21-Day Program. And again, those programs were really for me to understand how to build my own program. I also did, and what I'm currently working on or doing right now in the middle of, is a Whole30 program. And I'm utilizing the Practice Better platform, which I have for my CRM, my customer relationship management tool. On that tool, Practice Better, which I highly recommend, I love it. Let me know if you want to use it. I do have a code that would help me out. I get a little bump as an ambassador for them. I am able to put together a whole program which allows the people my clients to every day get an email with a new module that opens with things that they can do. So this is very enriched text. So I have text, I have video, you can have forms, you can have PDFs and printouts. Oh my God, it's photographs. There's so many things that you can enrich into this program. I mean, think about any kind of like online learning program. So that's basically what I have in Practice Better. So what I did is I kind of took the Whole30 program, which is a free and available program for anybody to use, and I designed something around that. So I took something tried and true and tested, and I'd done Whole30 myself a couple times. I built what was called the Whole30 guided Whole30 experience. The reason I'm calling it this is because the Whole30 can be done by anybody by themselves, which is fine. But what I wanted to do is structure something that would allow support around the structure, around the program. So the guided Whole30 experience that I created, so remember the baseline is the Whole30 program, and I'm sure most people who know what this is, but it's an elimination diet program that you can use to help evaluate their food and food choices and how that affects your body. And what I did is, so I have built the modules in the Practice Better, which go through each day telling people what they can expect, giving them motivation, giving them tips and tricks and hacks and things like that. Then there's also a Facebook group that we have where every day we're sharing photos of what we're eating, giving advice, basically just keeping up with each other in a daily support fashion. And then every Monday, I have a live coaching call where anybody can call in, and we go through and we have a coaching session as a group through Zoom. This is working very well. I'm actually doing my 4th live call coming up, and I have 6 people doing the program with me, which I'm super excited about, even paid people. Woohoo! One of the things that I learned while I was developing this program was that it was fun to develop, but it's really a long 30 days. Like, it's really hard to keep up my motivation. And I'm using a couple different tools. So I have the Meet Edgar tool, which is my social media thing. So I can set up all my social media beforehand and have it scheduled out into the different platforms. I'm finding 30 days is a little long to keep up the motivation, but it is also a big task. So I think if I was to do it again, well, I will do it again. I like running this program because I like to do the whole 30 for myself. So why not do it with a group of people? So I'll probably do it again because I can just copy and paste this program into a program in the fall. So that's kind of my idea, to do a spring and a fall whole 30. But I think I can also do some of these online programs, the shorter versions, like a week, 2 weeks. In general, a friend of mine, another health coach, was asking me like, well, how do you feel when you're making or when you're doing this, or when you're working on that kind of product? And to tell you the truth, I felt like why am I doing this? But I felt like I had to push myself a little bit to do this. And again, I was also thinking about doing corporate programs and setting up a corporate program, because this is where you can make money and also affect a large amount of people. So it was kind of like my whole mission is to like help people. And if you only help one person at a time, it's hard to, reach as many people as you can. And, like corporate programs are great because first of all, they pay really well. And you're reaching a massive amount of people. But again, I'm not sure if that's really calling to me. And as a health coach, and as you go through any health coaching program, I hope that you get to learn the awareness. And what my friend was saying to me is like, where in your body do you feel this energy? Like, do you feel energy around what you're doing? Does it give you energy? I saw a quote the other day: if it doesn't give you energy or inspiration or an orgasm, you shouldn't do it, which I guess is true. So I think as a new health coach, and for all of you guys out there that are thinking about becoming a health coach, there are so many opportunities actually to be a health coach. I could take this completely in a recipe and food-driven way where I'm doing recipes and blogs and videos on food and nutrition. I could do this very specifically on a condition like premenopausal women, or women who've had hysterectomies, or women of childbearing age. I mean, there's just so many different ways, and it's like, how do you pick which way you want to go with this? And right now, I've currently kind of settled on this kind of focus on people with prediabetes, primarily because that's the area I work in now. I work in diabetes healthcare and making blood glucose meters. Now, I don't actually talk with anybody directly, and I don't, I'm not really helping anybody specifically. So in my brain, I thought, okay, this is what I can do. I can use my new knowledge as a health coach to help people who are recently diagnosed as pre-diabetics and help them kind of change their lifestyle behavior and lifestyle actions to move into a direction where they would avoid type 2 diabetes altogether. And that sounds really great. And actually, it's really fantastic. One of the only problems is that I live in Switzerland, where they don't have as many diabetes, because actually people are a lot healthier here than if I was in the US. And of course, I can have clients in the US, and I can do this all remotely. But part of what I realized that I really love is the human interaction, the face-to-face. And even through Skype and Zoom and these other avenues where you can even see people, it's really not the same as sitting in the presence of another person and feeling their energy and understanding what's going on with them and making a real human connection. So you see how my brain is working? I'm still trying to figure out, I really figured out, I really want to work with people in person. So check mark. Okay. I can work with people not in person, but I'd rather work with people in person. And that feeds into doing any kind of online program. So I think in the future, if I do some kind of online program, it's going to be a program that somebody can run by themselves that doesn't require my interaction. So that means that they can sign in, they can pay for the program runs automatically, and this is just what's called an evergreen revenue source, where I do it once, and then it kind of just generates I only have to market this, and then it generates its own revenue. But I hesitate to tell you guys my pipe dream, but I feel like I've done a few writing exercises to help me understand Like, where do I want to be at the end of my life and what do I want to have done? I love these writing exercises. If you haven't done them, let me know in the comments, or let me know on Facebook if you're interested in knowing some of these writing exercises, and I can share them with you guys. But one of the things that I thought about even before I became a health coach, like years and years ago, after I moved to Switzerland, so maybe like four years ago, I started thinking about something I could do differently. And I thought about running like a tourism type of company geared to Americans for Switzerland. And this happens everywhere, actually. There's a lot of people who, if they've moved somewhere and they know the population, and then they know they're in a place that people like to go, that they can market directly to that population. And I thought about, organizing hike retreats and things like that in Switzerland, in the Alps. It's so beautiful. It is such an amazing experience that I thought I wanted to do this. Like, I thought that would be interesting because I love to go to the Alps. I love to organize things and I love meeting people. So now I'm in the situation where I have this health coaching thing going on, and I'm coming back again to the Alps and organizing and things. And recently I saw a coach the other day, a coach who sits down with you and does a 1-hour session. They talk about everything. And then he takes you on a hike in the Alps, and you hike a mountain, and he kind of like takes you through these levels of coaching till you get to the top, and then you come back down, and it's like this whole experience. And I thought that was so cool. And here I am limiting myself to like online programs. Do I really want to sit at a desk, whether it's at a desk at a big company or a desk at my house? No, I want to be with people. I want to be doing something. I want to be moving and interacting with people. And so now I think I've got like my 5 or 7 year like idea out there, and I'm just going to put it out here in the world because it helps if you can put it out in the world. Is I'd love to own my own chalet somewhere in the Alps in a beautiful area facing the south, so you have wonderful sun. And I want the space to accommodate like 10, 15, 20 people. Maybe not that much. Maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there. Not gobs of people, but enough that a large group could come. And it can be used as a retreat space. So people could rent the space if they wanted to have like a family reunion or a girls' weekend or a guys' weekend or something like that. So it's a very open space that can be used like this. It could be used for yoga retreats. It could be used for meditation retreats, all those things. And then in addition to that, when I want to use it, I would use it for health-related retreats where I would invite different practitioners of different types of therapies to come, and I would design a whole retreat around health and wellness in the beautiful Swiss Alps. So there, I've said it. That's kind of where I would love for my direction to go. And as a new health coach, one of the things they tell you is like, you have to, I feel like I get caught up, really, really caught up like in the day-to-day, like what, like checking my Facebook and writing a blog post and stuff. And that's fun, but it really helps when you have an idea of where I really want to be. Because if I know I want to be there, what do I need to be doing to get to that point? To get to that point now, I need to be researching locations in the Alps. Of course, I'll do this anyway because I love hiking in the Alps, but I'm looking at it with a fresh mindset of something that I would use for these kind of retreats. I also need to start organizing more like group activities within my local area, live activities, and having workshops, having get-togethers. And I think this is probably one of the most important things, is gaining a group of people and practicing and on people like different kinds of activities, structures, so that I can kind of build my repertoire. Because, hosting a long weekend retreat or a week-long retreat, you have to have a good amount of things to fill up that time. Now, not every minute needs to be planned, but you remember, it needs to be something where I would be willing to pay that amount of money to do what I'm doing. And so I need to make sure that it's a really good retreat with really good activities, so that when people walk away, they feel like their life has been changed, and I know that sounds all grandiose and everything, but it's true. I mean, I know so many people have done retreats similar to this, and they just come away with it going, this was an amazing experience. And that's what I want. I want to have an amazing experience. So looking for places, maybe finding locations that already exist. So, I can't afford to buy a chalet right now, but maybe I can in 5, 10, 15 years buy a chalet. That would be nice. But in the meantime, I can be looking for a space like what I want. And again, always going through that action of how does this space work for me? What do I like about the space? What I do not like about the space? Because you can put all that energy towards starting up right away, thinking that's what you want to do. And then you find out that's not what you really want to do. Part of what I want to, I guess, out of all my rambling, what I want to tell you is that I think you just need to practice different things and see what you really enjoy or what gives you energy, and then go in that direction. So even though something might seem logical that you do it, like for me, this pre-diabetes thing, and I can do it, it just doesn't light my fire. Like, maybe a pre-diabetes retreat would be a very good thing. With all that, I'm curious to hear what everybody else is doing, or if you have specific things in mind as you go through your health coaching journey, or why you want to be a health coach. I'd love to hear about it. It's amazing what people come up with and how to use this certification. I mean, it's amazing, like completely different ways you can go from the same training. So that's a little bit about my update for this time. And I hope that this new style or this new layout of the podcast is interesting for you. Please give me some feedback on the Facebook page, the new Facebook page, Becoming a Health Coach on Facebook. And you can email me, becomingahealthcoach@gmail.com, or my website is meganjmccrory.com. And that's where the show notes will be. So I know this was a bit different, but thanks for sticking with me. Again, my name is Megan McCrory, and you've been listening to How I'm Becoming a Health Coach. Until next time, stay happy and healthy. Hey, you're still listening. Great. Okay, now I can tell you about my 12-week goal setting session. So in this 1-hour session, I'm going to help guide you through a powerful process inspired by the best-selling book, The 12-Week Year. I know. Everybody at this time of the year starts to think about year-long goals. And I would argue that year-long goals are really hard to contextualize. What is going to be happening in a year from now? You have no idea. But 12 weeks gives you a little bit better understanding, because you kind of already have your calendar booked out for the next 12 weeks, kind of know what's going to be going on. So if you can focus your goals on the next 12 weeks, you can make some really big actionable steps towards your long-term vision. So in this 1-hour session, we do talk about long-term vision. We talk about where you want to be. We talk about what your 5-year, 10-year, 3-year, all those goals are. But that's only a brief part. We know we see the long distance view, but let's break that down. And then we get into the 1 to 3 strategic 12-week goals that are going to get you to those long-term vision. Then we're going to put that into a really cool action plan with like checklists and timing and all that jazz to make sure that you are clear and that you have accountability to get those goals done. And then that's not it. Then we are going to tackle your roadblocks, because you know you have roadblocks. So we're going to tackle those roadblocks. We're going to create a plan to overcome them. So you know when you start to self-sabotage, you know what you can do to get around those roadblocks. Okay, so if this is interesting for you, it is only 1 hour of your time and it's only 45 Swiss francs. I host this gig over on Fiverr, but I'm also going to put a link down in the show notes. So if you're interested, hit me up.